I will be very short, so I will start introducing the first keynote speaker. It's also an international one. It's Jamshid Alamuti, initiator and founder, and also CEO of Neural Jam. And he will tell us more about the generational transformation in banking and financial services, which is a very interesting topic, at least for me, because I'm between some ages and not so Gen Z and also not so millennial. But Jam will tell us more about these challenges banks have in addressing a lot of different generations. Welcome.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Oh, there is a clock running already, so it's 2 minutes gone. Sorry. I will spend. So where to start? You hear me, right? If I don't do that? Good. So, camera is gone, I know. Don't worry. Hi, nice to meet you. Personal. Exactly. So I could go around and shake hands with every single of you. He's representing that. I come back to this very point to tell you why I did it, okay? What's your name again? Marcio. Marcio. Yep. Nice to meet you. Jam. How was the temperature of my hand? Good. How was yours? You tell me. Exactly. No one knows. Keep that in mind. Okay. Glasses. Bam. Camera. Hi. Sorry, I'm going to be going out and in a lot of times. My name is Jamshid Alamuti. Serial entrepreneur. I'm in love with education. I'm in love with passing on knowledge to people. This is how I basically started my life as I was like 14 or 15. I disagreed with the education system, started to drop out, and thought, I don't want people to tell me what to learn. I want to know how to learn, and then I figure it out. And this has been the story of my life until today. As anyone who comes on a stage like that, I'm nervous right now, as you know, even though it's been like kind of ages, so many times, so many stages, so many people. Good to be nervous, good to fail, good to shit in your pants, you know, so loosen up. I was here yesterday and I wasn't sure, are these people so reserved and in their boxes because they are Romanian, or they are finance guys, or is it their first afternoon? Think about that. Did I shake your hand yesterday evening? Nice to meet you. That was like funny, this, you know, networking, and I only was limited to this little circle of people I was sitting with for dinner. How many people did you guys talk to yesterday who you didn't know? Think about it as well. Use your time today. Okay. Oh, this is this way. I need to get rid of it. Neural Jam is my latest work right now. It's a platform for, you know, exchange and share of knowledge. I'm not going to talk about it. Google it later. I'm not selling myself. Let's talk about leading change. Interestingly, I consciously did not use the word managing change because there is a huge difference between leadership and management. Can we agree? Someone nod? If I would be daring to come down and ask you why, you would give me a wise answer, I'm sure, so I'm not bothering you. Leadership is about people. Management is about the processes, okay, and the work. Be fair. Some of you young ones in the business you are in, you're managing a lot of stuff, and few of you are probably really leaders. Think about it. The whole change and transformation starts with you, with leading it. That's very important. Now, if you go through a change process, you will have these 3 rows to go. You first have to scope it, then you start planning it, and then it goes, bam, you execute, you know, lots of work being done. as leaders, shouldn't be bothered about you're late, everyone is late, pays $1 in a box if I'm on a stage. That guy owes you a drink tonight if you stay. Yes, I'm talking about you. You owe everyone a drink tonight if they stay. Cool. So, as a leader, your job basically, it's only to take care of the scoping of a transformation. Later on, you are the, let's say, ambassador and the sponsor of this change. At the beginning, you really want to ask that question, do I need it or not? Do I need it now or not? Don't worry about the how, etc., etc. This will be then planned and done. So the first questions I ask myself in terms of transformation is I need to understand the business environment and I need to understand the benefit of it. Why the fuck would I do it? You know, change sometimes is forced upon you. You don't have a choice. Change sometimes is coming naturally and gradually. In that case, you just go with the flow. But if you proactively want to, you know, be a pioneer and not a follower and go and face change early enough, you ask yourself this question, obviously. Because during the time of transformation, you're going to lose resources, money, time. It's going to cost you something at the beginning so that you can reach some results towards the end. It pays off. Okay. Every change has a trigger. Anything. Something makes you move. If you're a car, you have an engine, it has fuel, it makes you move forward. There is always something triggering the movement. In terms of transformation, it could be different things. The most important one at the moment is no longer technology. And many of you, my apologies for saying that, are fooled by the technology because everything I heard yesterday was about data and technology and fintech. But it's not about that. Technology for people like, I don't know, who is below 30 here? Hands up if you're there. Well, I mean, more of you can pretend you're under 30. For those who are this next generation, they are literally born with a device, you know, they came out of the mommy's belly with a phone in the hand, you know. If you have children, what is the best babysitter? Your iPhone. The kids start saying, meh, batch. Give them a phone or an iPad. That's why when they are 3 or 4, they tap to the screen and start touching your TV and say, why is it fucking not working? You know? So technology is commodity. That is why everything you do right now and for the future, for the upcoming generation, should be human-centric. That's really important. And human-centric means emotional. So when I'm talking about emotional and human-centric, and yesterday I heard you always using the word client, and I was thinking, will there be a time where the finance world start finding a better name for the individuals they interact with? They called client. You know, client is so far away. Do you guys have a bank account? Do you spend money? So you're a client of your own system, right? Imagine if you speak to yourself or your husband or wife or boyfriend or children as your clients, you know, just because they interact with money. So it's really far distanced. So experience, if you look at the industry, at the beginning it was like all about processes, efficiency, results. And if you move towards where we are today, it's all about collective, it's about interaction, it's about collaboration. The whole ecosystem and the Internet of Things brings you to have the technology around you all the time and not guiding you, so to speak. You actually use it as a tool. It's just another tool. It's a hammer. So this changed a lot. Now, emotion happens when people participate. Him and I had a handshake. and you all were in here, so we theoretically could say that you have been interacting with this situation. But that's not entirely true. I asked him about my body temperature, and he said, what did you say? Good? Not good? Good is very relative. Cold could be good to him, or hot could be good to him. We don't know, right? And I said, what about yours? And he said, you tell me. So let me find someone to attack. I know who to go to. Bye, camera. Since we spoke at breakfast, I come here. Sorry for this. Can I touch you? Very, very friendly. Where? Oh, she says where. So I have my hand on her shoulder. She has a feeling, I have a feeling, none of you can share this emotion right now. Thank you very much. It was like cold-hearted for her. And I was so nervous. So do you know what I mean? Like, I just had a moment with a person, and that moment, even if I describe it beforehand, none of us can really know about it. We can only anticipate it. We can imagine something. But only the moment it has happened, there is something she and I felt on our own skin, can make something out of it, and you guys can observe it, you guys can come with it, but it's not a part of it. So, you know, if you're not participating actively in something, it is not an experience. Back to your business, if you have your clients not really participating in either designing the future of money with you or having an active part in dealing and playing with money, it's just you guys giving them something to consume and swallow. They will have a choice. You won't. So consider that. So to close this part, I would say you have started in your business, say, beginning of the fintech 20 years ago, being purely client-centric, then it started to become user-centric, and now is the time to start going emotion-centric. This would be my first recommendation to you. Let me have a drink, and then tell you more. So let's scope change and be a little bit more in your business. I said if you want to scope change, as a leader, you'll have to check the business environment, and you'll have to ask yourself if there are any benefits in there. What I would recommend to your industry right now is two things. First of all, change always happens when you are on this side. Well, on this side. Because as long as you're not always asking yourselves, am I doing it right? If things feel good to you, you won't act. And you would become late, probably. If things go bad, if you are unstable, you are dissatisfied, questioning yourself, if chaos comes, if you lose control, that is the moment where you start shaking to say, we need to do something. Humans are always late. When do you take an aspirin? When the headache is there already. You don't do something before the headache, you know. You drink wine, you know next morning going to be a headache there. If you drink water with it at the same time, you won't have it. So 1 glass of wine or vodka, 1 glass of water, don't forget. So let's assume that everything triggering your transformation is starting from an unpleasant situation you're already in or anticipating it to come. That's important. Change always is in waves, and there are different speeds of it. Nature goes very slow. It's steady. Technology goes like bam, and it's becoming faster. It wasn't that fast, say 50 years ago, but it's now like very regular. Society is a bit slower. So different items have a different pace and waves in terms of transformation. So change could be linear, it could be in stages, it could be through any incident, like, you know, pandemic came and so many things had to change. It's unavoidable. Or it could be chaotic, it could be revolutionary. Now, a lot of things in finance is actually going through this incident. For me, these are the key items you should observe. First of all, the world the entire financial technology is in is being affected by societal issues, pandemic, stability of financial norms, recessions, you name it. The second item, really important to you guys, is the operational perspective of it. Decentralization, blockchain, everything which goes in that direction, which is coming with a new generation. So these are the little items and pieces of it. Then the data issue. I heard yesterday you guys have been using a little bit the word data, and it was very impersonal in my eyes. And we'll come back to that later, you're still talking about big data. But the time is at the edge of going away from big data to good data. That's really important. It's like if I ask you all, like, hands up whoever is married. So, information. Hands up whoever is having an affair while they're married. Yeah. You see? So, big data, good data. Some information are straightforward, and in your research, you always access big data. But you don't have good data. And since you don't have good data, you cannot personalize. Because only that information, that he's got a beautiful girlfriend, makes him like special for me to know and know how to deal with it. I know how to deal with your credit card so that your own wife, you know what I mean. So that is one of the important things. That's going to be a massive driver, actually. Privacy issue, you mentioned cybersecurity, real-time data exchange, which is different than giving you time to process big data, So this is a massive change. And of course, what the entire financial technology is going to be used for. We used to have bank, and what is the bank for? And the services you have is straightforward related to it. But the way the entire exchange, consumption is actually done makes people want more of a bank because they do more with money or with value, So think about that. So these were, in my eyes, what I would call the main key drivers for you guys to observe to transform your organizations. Time is good. Okay, my apologies, you're the experts. I'm sure you know more than myself on that. But because I heard you guys speak of fintech without some dots afterwards, I just want to clarify. Because when I speak of fintech, I look at it at 3 different eras. 20 years ago, fintech 0.0, let's say. And this is where, if you look back to the average of internet users, why am I looking at internet users? It's actually about, fintech starts from the moment people can go digital, right? So, 20 years ago, the average people who are using internet just like a tool for a daily life are practically only some elite young Americans, some yappies. They have lots of credit cards, bank accounts, and everything. 10 years ago, the same thing is in Europe, less credit cards, you don't have like kind of 20 of them anymore because the concept has changed. But still, you have a bank account, a real bank account, etc., and more people are dealing with it. So it comes away from the elite and goes to the middle. Now, in the time of 2.0, actually, if you look in terms of internet usage, the average internet usage is back in Asia. Like, everything is happening on their mobile, everything. Why is it important for us? I come back to that later. The reason it's important is because those people will dictate the progress, the technological progress of the fintech. Because they are so into usage of it on a daily basis, their purchase, their daily life, everything they're doing is far ahead of us here in Europe. Far ahead. So we have these single islands in Europe, like let's Switzerland, Lithuania, Estonia, little pieces in Europe, Finland, who are actually doing progress with it. Everyone else is just researching and waiting and testing and all the stuff. But China is like, hitting the target right now massively. They have no choice because the mass is actually going with it. Africans somehow, ridiculously, they are technologically, from the fintech-wise, ahead. They are one or two countries, they are ahead. So if you want to analyze and research and observe, these are a few areas you should take a look at. So consider that and differentiate. In that terms, if I'm talking about change leadership as a decision maker in your finance industry, trigger for you to change is actually change of the product. So you need to really start agreeing that sticking to your current products is not going to help you. And you know what? Let me be provocative a little bit. And I do have respect. Don't misunderstand me. But you have a certain age. So either you're as young as this guy, and he is going up the ladders. You can smile, I'm not biting. And I don't mean it very bad. So he is going to go hierarchically up. He's got, I don't know, let's say 15 years to get richer and richer and richer. Or you are some old VIP guy like that gentleman back there, who is already at the age where he is either such an owner that he can really start thinking about the future for others, or his time going to be out in a few years' time. So what we need to change in your industry goes beyond our age, our active age in the business. So very few of us, and because the business of banking is not owned by individuals, no direct owners or CEOs are really worried about what happens in 15 years. I don't give a shit as a CEO. In 5 years' time, my time is over. So the way of thinking about these long-term developments, the innovation aspect, this pioneering comes very late, which is okay. That's life, fair enough. And therefore, what is important is to actually, in terms of the product leadership, to open up towards what I said before, to that emotional aspect, that personal exchange with individuals. Let the young people do the job. Let's, as I say to myself, I'm 55, excuse my French, I'm 55, I fucked the planet, I'm sorry about that. Here is the key, 25 years old, please take it, do it better. And no, I'm not going to tell you how to do it better. If I knew, I would have done that. I don't know, I fucked it. It's too late for me to come and say, no, I tell you how to do it better. Fuck off, I say to myself. So it's a little bit like that. You guys have the chance and the money and the situation to collaborate with that generation. Drag them in, they're hungry, they're fast, they are fearless, they're young, they can make mistakes, you can afford mistakes, You're a great industry. In 5 years' time, you're in the top 3, You're big animals when it comes down to finance and numbers. I'm not about business. I'm really about the richness of the industry. Finance sector going to be in top 3. So, I think I said all of that. This is the recommendation I would have for you. I'm just looking at the 7 minutes I have. If you have time, and if you want to focus, and if you want to do something in terms of real change, these are what I'm suggesting to you to focus on. Focus on the privacy issues, control issues, security models. This is one area I would say this is really hot cake for you guys for future because your young generation would want it. Building interfaces which are actually capsuling services is great because you can go with the entire system of the startup is built on let's give yourself a little bit of something. Simplicity is key. Small bites are key. Don't do massive products. Do simple solutions for simple stuff. And agree to this open source model. You will have no other choice. Every other successful organization, big time, are actually progressing in terms of innovation because they allow some young entrepreneurs come and do the job. You know, you can wait, and when you are in trouble, go and buy some startups, or you can right from the beginning invest in those and make them happen. Have your ventures, I know some of you have, but this is the way to go. Invest in those guys to make the job for you and for themselves, you know. So very quickly, and that might be boring right now for you, but like 2 pages, short and brief. This is from Money 22, like 2020, you know. So this is this year's a white paper they brought out, which is talking about the consumer sentiments and profiles, just that you understand who you are facing. They're talking about time perception, especially after pandemic. People are looking differently at the time. They are becoming nostalgic. They are thinking about good old times and still within the frame of the new technology. So this is an emotional aspect you can perfectly play with and get close to people. Then you have wellness, hope, and cautious motivation. People are a lot more self-aware. Purpose and purpose-driven and real purpose-driven means a lot to people. So what do you do to lower CO2, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These things count. If you mean it and if you play it right, then you have a connection to your people. People are hopeful. People are at the edge of, we can do it better as individuals and together as a mass. We can change things. So you need to approach that mass. And everyone is about, oh, okay, I was this many years lazy and in my bed and pandemic, so let's do something for myself. So this is the type of people we are talking about. In terms of profiles, the predictors are there, and that's really interesting. People don't want to be told, you can't fish people by, I'm cheaper than the other. They don't even hunt price anymore. They are advanced enough in terms of access to data that they can predict what's happening before you can predict it, or alongside with you. So they cannot be fooled. Transparency, honesty, authenticity is really key. You know, you need to reassure that to them if you want to have them. So, Business Romance, Team Leberecht, nice book, read it. Good friend of mine, he wrote that book like almost 6 years ago, and now people are talking about the new romantics. People are getting that business romantic in themselves, you know. So that's really interesting and important. It's time for that collective. We help one another. We go along together. That's really interesting, even though it's the time of individualization because of the social media. So engagement strategy is going to be very important for you. The impossibles, obviously metaverse and everything, there is nothing anymore. Oh, I told you you were paying for the drinks. You don't pay because those gentlemen and ladies showed up, so they pay for the drinks. Someone will explain to them later what happens to them right now. And the conductors. These are people who are really passionate about the future, about the economy happening in, you know, the new and future technological environments we have. So conductors, I mean also the doers, the creators. Good, so this is the 2 elements. I have 3 minutes to push through this part. I'm going to be provoking you with a little bit of information. Information where I'm sure it's known to all of you, but I'm wondering why don't you act upon it, or what holds you back? So ask yourself this question on the way back home. Again, I mentioned this is age of individualization, right? So the society is actually a bottom-up creator. Everyone has the chance to produce content, to come up with a company. So why aren't you using them? Question 1. And if yes, how? Is it enough, yes or no? Back to this issue of emotional engagement and collaborative aspect of it. They don't want to be taught. I understand, and I had a debate yesterday with some younger people. I heard yesterday one of you guys on the stage talking about educating your clients. I don't think your client needs education. Well, yes, they do, but they can get it elsewhere. They can Google it. Information is available. So if they want to know what is a saving account, or how do I get a loan. This is not the type of information you can teach them. So what do you exactly mean by educating your clients? Get them involved to make things together with you. Don't tell them what you have. What you have is for yesterday, is for me and my parents, is not for the 25 and below, you know. It's gonna be changing so fast, so get them involved. Don't put yourself up there and say, I know better, I tell you what to do. That's my recommendation and provocation. That's the only thing they all have in common though. This is the inflation. It doesn't matter, young, old, whatever, this is happening. The blue one is globally, the red one is Europe. And it's like, as you see, like the last 3 years. So inflation is hitting them all. We are dealing with it in a very different way. If you're 50-something, you ask yourself, can I extend to another 3 minutes? Yes, you gave me later the microphone. I distract myself all the time. If I'm 55, I deal with that issue differently. Maybe I go and buy myself an old car or whatever. But a young guy, 16 years old, my son, buys those NFT monkeys. But guess what? That motherfucker is making more money than I do then. You know? And I'm missing the train. And from the moment he said, Dad, can I use a little bit of my saving account to buy this monkey, until my heart could finally say yes, took time. And I thought like, okay, I give him a little bit of risk money to play with. Fuck it, something will happen. Excuse my French. But it gave me some lessons, you know. It really taught me something. So, therefore, these are the areas I know you all know about, but I'm thinking, why aren't we aggressively putting our hands more into that? NFT, $1 billion, no one is insuring it. How crazy is this? Imagine, no insurance company started to deal with this. So these guys are buying stuff which is partially multi-million-dollar value, some digital assets, multi-million-dollar value. No one is making money on insuring them. And no bank is putting hands on making use of it. So what happens? The guys who are making money with it are some small startups. It's like crazy. Like, you remember? And that's not new. That's what I'm saying that. This is like collectible cards. 1876. That is already NFT almost how many years ago? 200 years ago, my God? You know? Like NFT. Old-fashioned NFT. Cars bought that times for a few cents are now $18,000, $25,000 value. It's really funny. So OpenSea, dealing with NFT, look at these sums. Over 3 billion monthly. Daily, 300 million per day. And how much share of this do you have is my question. And you could have it because you are the master of money. You could have companies dealing exactly only with this and nothing else, if you want to. This is money going, like, you know, passing by. Otis, do you know that? The guy had launched, his first startup was Skillshare. Skillshare still exists. And he changed Otis, and Otis is actually a fractional ownership investment, making possible that every one of us with few minutes, time's up in red, oh my God. Okay, you show me, go, and then I go. I have 3 or 4 pages. Sorry, I'm gonna be rushing, I'm not talking anymore. So these are a few examples, which I'm now not talking about. Duconomy, Google them. They just today were announced in top 100 startups by Wired. They are in New York meanwhile. They're doing beautiful stuff. And for you guys, the SME and Corporate Impact Dashboard, they actually have credit cards together with MasterCard, counting your CO2 consumption. They block your card and don't let you spend money if you have overrun your CO2 consumption. Really interesting. Just for you to feel what is out there, which I'm sure you know. My question always is, what is your share of it? When it comes down to blockchain, $2 trillion, what are you having of it? Is there a bank I could go to and say, hi, I want to buy a house, I have 100K in cryptocurrency, can you change that for me? And you say, yes, please, come in. Anyone? You know, so I cannot spend my $100,000 here if it's crypto? Question mark. So my 4 last pages for you to predict. I think at least 5 to 10 large economies gonna have central bank with digital money. This is the picture, that's from Accenture, I think, very recent. And you see, like, I just skipped America because they are still researching. Whole Europe is researching. China is so far is implementing. Russia is experimenting. My God, scary. But then, no offense to my Russian friend here. But so it's interesting. Take a look at the map. It's a lot of are hesitating, and that's really, I think, is a shame. That's the second thing which is important. That's a prediction for the next 3 to 5 years. Tech stack going to be cloud-based, and it's going to be open source. So you need to get used to that. That means you don't need to even have your Windows anymore. You know, it's all going to be open source. Retail, and that's where huge money is there. It is going to be personalized cross platforms. So you need a different approach to like having your people spending the money. I need to be very fast now. I hope someone gonna give them that presentation, then they can read in quiet. So this is the money spent in the next couple of years in terms of e-commerce. So imagine. And the big data to good data, I mentioned that, I can skip it for you guys, but that means the operating system is gonna be changing. No OS Apple, no Android, no Windows. It's going to be new operating systems based on good data. That's really interesting. That means for you guys, suddenly a change of system all over the place. Research this one is important. It's like, you know, this. We started to go, big data is 1 to 4. We had a little bit of food, and then we made factory farming to produce a lot of it, and then I realized, oh, a lot of it is shitty, so now we go being selective again and have this organic, nice, healthy. This is exactly what happens with big data and good data, you know. So this is the 3 areas I would recommend to you to focus. I guess you know all of them. Decentralized finance, regenerative finance, and the programmable money. This is the top 3 areas I would highly recommend. This is the future of finance. And with that, enjoy cash and use it wisely. Thank you very much.